Each bullet has a purpose.
Hey, welcome back to the channel. So in this episode, we're going to talk about Leon. And just like how you can expect from his look here, he is a very definition of a sniper. And just like as a sniper do, he can deal insane amount of single target damage in the category of rare Esper. So his first skill attacks one enemy, damage 140% attack. It's already above average because the average number for a first skill is 120% attack. And on top of that, it has 100% chance of inflicting disease for 2 turns. Like always, there are a lot of situations where you do require disease, especially against enemies that heal non-stop. So this is a nice addition to have. And considering that Leon is really good at dealing single target damage, he can use this to his advantage when killing bosses that requires disease to be put on the boss. And then going to his second skill, it's a passive eye for an eye. Before attacking, transfer 1 debuffs to the target. So this is the same thing as what Brewster does. So you can consider Leon as like a rare version of Brewster, or you can consider Brewster as a legendary version of Leon. Although for Brewster's case, he is more like a combination of Hall together with Leon. So that's where Brewster get his kit, his utility. But this is a nice thing to have, and this is going to be really important when we go to his third skill. So his third skill, Deadly Seer, attacks one enemy, damage 300% attack. So aside from Brian, we have another Esper that can deal 300% attack. But for Brian, she can inflict freeze and defense down, while on Leon, he can inflict Seer. And there's another thing here: if the enemy is debuffed, this attacks critical rate plus 100%. So that means that you don't really need to put critical rate on Leon, because this skill have 100% critical rate chance to trigger your critical damage. And this thing, if the enemy is debuffed, is important when I said the second skill just now, because you can have any of your debuff to be transferred to your enemy before dealing this using your third skill, and that will count as a debuff, and this will make sure that your third skill deal a critical damage. But not only that, this Seer that you inflict using your third skill is also considered a debuff that is inflicted before they calculate the critical rate chance here. So if you manage to land this Seer on his third skill, it is already considered that the enemy has a debuff at that point in time, and then the attack will guarantee to be critical damage. So that's why you don't really need critical rate at all on Leon. You can just focus solely on critical damage and attack, but you need to add at least a little bit of accuracy to make sure that you can put this Seer on your target. And this is especially important because there are not many Esper that can inflict Seer, especially when defense down is just everywhere. But in the case of when you want to deal as much damage as possible, obviously you do need to put both defense down and Seer on your target. So if you already have a defense down Esper that can put defense down on the boss, then you can bring Leon to put the Seer while on top of dealing damage, insane damage to the boss himself. And that's the purpose of Leon in this game. So this is the stats that I'm going for Leon, Thunder Set and also Recurve, because I do need the accuracy bonus here without compromising my other stats here. Like I can get the substats to focus purely on attack, speed, critical damage, and some probably a little bit of accuracy here, like there. So that is how Leon works, but because this critical rate only applies for his third skill, so with my current build here, he deals very low damage on his first skill, because his first skill definitely will never ever deal critical damage because I only have this much critical rate. So in order to counter that, Leon have a captain ability that increase his critical rate by 15%. Oh yeah, a little bit of history. Like this was not here when Leon first came out like 2 years ago. So they just recently added this like halfway through the game, just because if he only deal 300% attack and inflict sear while the cooldown is on 4 turns, he is less useful compared to Brine, because there is a Brine here. Obviously you don't really want to bring your Leon, so they needed to put an extra thing that Leon can do here, and they decided to make him able to maximize his critical damage stats without needing any critical rate at all. And especially in my current Chronos rotation, like he doesn't need to cast his first skill at all. Like I purely use his third skill and Chronos already die, so I don't need critical rate at all. So for other players, like he is a very unpopular choice, but for those of you who doesn't have Leora yet to clear Chronos in a very fast time, so I do recommend you, if you do have extra materials, you can use Leon in order to deal insane damage to Chronos, and I'm gonna showcase you later. So yeah, for the disease also, because he is of the flow element, like he is not really good to be used on APEP, but for other purposes, if you do bring him to like cube or temporal tower, although it's gonna be very rarely happening, but just remember he has a disease that you can use in here. So oh yeah, and also in the current anomaly, like there is this technology, no, not this one, where is it? There's this talent tree that makes the element, where is it? This one, all experts are at an elemental advantage. So if you do have this kind of advantage, like this one is usually happening in the cube run. So if you do have this thing, then you don't need to worry about his element anymore. You can just use him in order to put disease on APEP for Leon here. So going into his advancement here, obviously if you do want to use him, go straight to level 60. He is not something that you can put at level 50 because he is a purely damage dealer, and because he is a pure damage dealer, obviously like the reason why he is unpopular, because there are so many replacements for him. Like I always say, if an Esper specialty is just dealing damage, then he will bound to be replaced eventually, especially for a rare Esper. So it's either level 1 or 60 for him. There is no in between. Now going for his resonance, the attack stats, obviously this is going to help him a lot. And on second resonance, when any ally is currently not alive, critical damage plus 30%, but you do need to let your allies die first in order to get the benefit out of this. But this is a nice bonus to have if you do fight in a bind. Usually in Chronos run, if you are still progressing, there are bound to have at least like 1 or 2 casualties, so this gonna increase Leon's damage by a lot. And then after that, on the fourth resonance, when target's HP is above 50%, damage plus 10%. And obviously this is going to happen a lot, especially in a boss run. And for a bosses that doesn't have HP, like for a Sentinel Han or the what is that? What is the name? The Falsetto Fantasy, they don't have HP shown on them, so they are always at 100% HP, which means that this thing will always going to trigger. So that's a good bonus for him. Now going to his ascension, his first one increase his attack, second one defense. As always, I do prefer to have HP on this one, but we cannot choose for that. Now the third one is the one that gives 100% critical rate, so obviously you do need this one. the third one. And then the fourth one increases HP, at least some survivability. The fifth one increases attack, and the last one is critical rate. So this is the only downside for him. Like, he doesn't really need the critical rate, like I said, like it does help his first skill. But if you only aim for his third skill, this is totally useless. So that's why there are many better DPS Esper out there. Now going to the rival rune, because you definitely not gonna be able to choose your target of the element that you are going to attack. So using Thunder set is going to bound to have like a lot of miss rate in PvP. So they always gonna recommend you to use War set in PvP in order to minimize the risk of dealing that miss damage. So, and then the last one is Avatara, so at least that he can deal more damage using his first skill while the enemy attack him. But yeah, there are not many choice for him. Like, it's more important to go for his substats here instead of the bonus set coming from the equipment. Like, you just aim for as much damage as possible that you can deal into your Leon. Now going into his Divinate, as always, the base attack is a very much needed for a damage dealer Esper. And then when the barrel speed is above the target's Cold Hearted's damage plus 15%, Cold Hearted is the first skill. So this is only ever useful in a long fight. If you do end up in a long fight, like if you use him in Sentinel Han or Falsetto Fantasy, then this Divinate is gonna help you. Otherwise, you only aim for his base attack here. So let's get into the ritual. Like, this is my Chronos lineup, and you can see here that my leaderboard here, I don't use Leora at all because I don't have Leora, and Leora is the main reason why you can clear this run in under 10 turns. So everybody require Leora in order for you to kill the first and second wave minions very fast. Otherwise, you're gonna waste a lot of time in the first and the second wave before you even reach the boss, and that's the only thing that is stopping me from killing, from getting into the rank here. But as you can see here, I have a very unique lineup here, probably the only one who maximized the use of Leon. Like you can see here, like other players, they just put the only Espers that you actually need into ranking, getting a high rank in Chronos is just Brewster, Leora, and Oli, because they are the only ones that can deal insane amount of damage in the least amount of turn. And Oli is pretty much a must in order to deal insane damage to Chronos, because his damage is percentage of enemy maximum HP, and there is no limit to this damage. So he can deal a very high damage because he can his percentage HP damage is calculated on top of the critical damage that you deal. So they just require a different, a different Esper just to get into a different ranking here, so as to not compete with each other. So all this Esper is just a filler. It's not needed, So this is my lineup here. So let's just go into the challenge here. So you can probably see here, this is my lineup, and let's go into the battle. Now going in the first one, as always, I'm gonna start with Intisar, because Intisar gonna give attack up to all of my allies. Probably nobody can ever copy this because my Intisar is at resonance 6. That's why this is a pretty much an almost impossible lineup. But because Intisar start first here, she will give an attack up to every single one of my allies on top of giving defense down. This is the strength of Intisar. Attack up and defense down to her target in a single turn. Then after that, followed by Gaius, because in the previous wave on the minions, I don't want to waste so many turns, and also I don't want to waste any of this Esper's third skill ability. So I'm gonna save all of them, so I'm using Gaius, and Gaius can pretty much keep using his third skill every single wave. Now after going into Gaius, this is Leon's turn, because Leon is able to put Shear. So if I successfully put Shear on the boss, that means that my Xiaoyin and my Oli's damage will be on top of the defense down and the seer. Now this is the damage that Leon can deal, 164,000 damage to Chronos. And then after that followed by Xiaoyin, so this is another 161,000, but that is not without the seer, so I failed to put a seer. But as you can see here, because he has a debuff, I can already guarantee my critical damage for Leon, even though I didn't put any seer there. Now followed by the strongest damage dealer for Chronos, this is Oli's damage, 245,000. So yeah, that is my entire Chronos run, and that is how I maximize the use of Leon while not having Leora. But you can, as always, you can probably replace my Intisar with Dahlia or any other attack up Esper, so as to, you know, at least clear Chronos comfortably. So that is Leon, guys. Really good single target damage. I do sometimes use him also for Sentinel Hunt. You know, in some of the Sentinel Hunt, I sometimes play around with Leon because he can deal insane amount of single target damage. But most of the time right now, because I have other Espers that can replace him, so I no longer use him anymore. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye.